Okay, third time's a charm, right? We'll find out. I've tried to shoot this video now a couple times and my phone just apparently does not want me to put this out there. Although I don't think it's anything like that. I think it's more operator error. But let's go from here. Alright, so I wanted to kind of expand on one of the videos I made earlier about immigration, and I purposely kept that one short earlier because I was making that video specifically for something within Infowars.com, and but I don't like how I wasn't able to go through a lot more stuff that I wanted to, essentially. So that's what I'm going to use this video for, and I tried to shoot this up, like I said, a couple times. One time it went to 30 minutes. As soon as I tried to turn the camera off to save it, it deleted it. I don't know how I did that one, but second time I know it's just my fault. But anyways. Okay, so I was reading something that there was a poll that was apparently just released on the 21st. And it was by The Economist and YouGov, which I'm assuming is a YouTube thing. And it was a poll that was conducted on June 17th through June 19th, and it revealed that there's a plurality of support among American voters. And this goes completely against, obviously, what the mainstream media has been telling you, that all Americans are pissed off at Trump's zero-tolerance policy down at the border and separating the kids and all that stuff. That apparently, if you watch the mainstream media, there's not one American alive except for the Nazis that are apparently wandering around in this country. Support that. However, according to this poll, 46% of Americans are for a zero-tolerance policy regarding the arrest and detention of all illegal crossings. Keyword being illegal crossings. Now what the left will do, they'll just say, oh, so you want all immigrants. And it's the Alinskyite tactic that the left used right there. It completely changes the debate if you use the language that they would use right there. If you then start going with and say, no, it's all immigrants and all that stuff. No, stick with what the facts are, and that is how you will defeat the leftists, because they have no facts. They are just emotion-based bleeding hearts. And it's finally coming out, and that's why if you saw the real numbers that show Trump's approval rating and all that, they're actually pretty damn high, and it ain't like that 48 or 49%, which I think was last released. And the way you can see that that is a crock of shit is, one, it's the same polls and methodology that they were using, saying that he wasn't going to win the election and that it was a 99% chance for Hillary and he had no shot. Because if you look at how not just how big the sample size is, but who was being sampled, they drastically lean left on the people that they will poll on these questionnaires. And yeah, that's one thing that they'll never tell you. But even then, if they drastically lean left on their polls and he's still getting a 48-49% approval rating, then you know that number is actually a lot higher. It's probably up around, 55 plus to 60, somewhere around there. I wouldn't be surprised in the least. But a couple other things that this poll brought up that I thought was interesting is a more detailed breakdown of the poll showed that 82% of Republicans and 56% of voters with no major political party affiliation hold the illegal alien parents more responsible. Common sense. And more than whereas 60% of Democrats blame the enforcement of federal immigration law for the arrest and separation of families, because it's the immigration law that forced them to try to wade across the Rio Grande or to cross the border across these large-ass deserts that are so deadly. And God, Democrats are so stupid. But and it goes on with a couple other things. Additionally, the poll showed that 54% agree with President Trump's statement that the United States will not be a migrant camp, and it will not be a refugee holiday facility. It won't be. While only 30% disagree, and 16% say that they don't know, as people are just cowards. Get on one side of the fence or the other. But I wanted to go over a couple of the numbers, and these are verifiable numbers that, especially if you just go to numbersusa.com, you'll see where I got a lot of this, a handful of this information. But you'll see how they source it, like it's DHS.gov, Center for Immigration Studies. They also, Pew Studies, it goes through a handful of places, the GAO. These are legit numbers that you're going to be getting here. And then, obviously, the commentary will be my opinion on it. So, the illegal immigration population, according to DHS and Pew study, they got roughly the same numbers in 2012 and 2014, which is about 11.3 or 11.4 million illegal immigrants are in this country. And that is ridiculous. That is way too many. It is hard to call yourself a sovereign nation when you're letting that many people in here that should not be in here. Now, that includes people who cross the border illegally and overstay their visas. And one thing that the left, and I don't hear even the right bring up too much, except Tucker Carlson. He'll bring this up on occasion, and I really like Tucker Carlson. I'm not a huge fan of pretty much like the Fox Network and all that stuff, but they got a couple people on there that I'll listen to. I'll take it with a grain of salt, but Tucker Carlson's, I think, the best at Fox News, hands down. He's up there with potentially I kind of like Lou Dobbs too. He cracks me up. I like him. But we are one of the most generous nations on this planet concerning immigration, and all you got to do is look at the numbers. And let's see. Legal immigrants, according to DHS.gov, over a 5-year average, we will on average allow 1,135,749 individuals to come into this country and gain permanent residency. Name me another country that will allow in over 200,000 immigrants every single year and give them permanent residency. I'll wait. Well, got quiet there. Yeah, because you're not going to have any. You're not going to have any. Alright, and also in non-immigrant admissions per year, America will allow in 46.5 million more people. And those are obviously term-limited visas, and those will include things like tourists or students or business travelers. And so those are the best numbers I have on those two aspects right there. So now I'll kind of dive within that and show that these Zelenskyites will never bring up a couple of the facts that I'm about to bring up right now because it completely destroys their narrative. But I guess before I even hop into that, the reason I think the left are so obsessed with allowing illegal immigration into this country, or even jacking up the number of even legal immigrants, which I think our number's high enough, over 200,000 a year we're letting in, that's a lot. I don't think it needs to get much higher than that. It's ridiculous. Well, maybe not ridiculous, but that's high. And I think if we can cap it right there, we'll be alright if we can stop the illegal immigration inflow. 200,000 a year, that's doable. We can do that. We can do that. But the non-immigrant admission per year, that's one that actually gets a... side point. Stop doing that. The reason I think the leftists focus on the immigration issue and won't speak the truth on it is because the fact is their numbers are so bad if you look at the demographics of who supports what party in this country concerning legal voters. And if we were to follow through effectively on Trump's plan of merit-based immigration system, cut off the illegal immigration and all that, you would see the Democrat Party almost disappear within an election or two because they have no support within this country. I mean, they're pretty much only support, and it proves out when the election cycle comes around, that they use the blacks as a major voting party tool. They don't help the blacks in any way, shape, or form. And that pans out, and look at any Democratic-run city that has been run by a majority Democrats for more than 10 plus years, and show me one that has got good outlook and numbers and all that, and is not degrading, and has high violence numbers, and it's just Democrats do not care about people, they care about power, period. And I really hope that black Americans really start waking up to that. Like people like Candace Owens, I think she is brilliant. She is she left the plantation. She realized that it was the Democrats who started the KKK, were the majority of the slave owners in America, especially in the South during that time. And they're the party of the Jim Crow laws. They're the party of segregation. I mean, it's ridiculous that the blacks tie themselves to that because, and Dinesh D'Souza does a good breakdown of this, and they did it because it was a Faustian bargain to where, yeah, they were teaming up with the party of the racists, but they were getting all this welfare that was suddenly going to be given to them in the early 1900s, and that's when a major switch came, because prior to that, the majority of blacks were Republican, but that's once again for another video. I won't get into much further into that. But yeah, the Democrats know that if immigration is in any way bottlenecked and slowed down to reasonable numbers, they lose power. Period. They don't have legit support in this country. That is the only way they stay in power. So on to a couple of things that show that the immigration system that we have right now is not a net benefit to our country. And now granted, I can't go over every single statistic within immigration because it's huge, but here are the ones that stuck out to me. From the Center for Immigration Studies released a number that was actually kind of shocking to me. And it goes in with what the leftists love to say is the reason why they're bringing in all these immigrants is because they're doing jobs that Americans don't want to do. Bullshit. Because they found that essentially only 4% of the immigrants hold jobs in agriculture, and that's one of that they love to pet out there, that we're the ones that are working out in the fields. It's not the jobs that you want. They're not the nice cushy jobs. Well, the majority of illegal immigrants and even legal immigrants hold jobs in manufacturing, service industry, and construction. And those are fantastic jobs for people just getting into the workforce. So I'd say like people who just got out of high school or even high school dropouts. Those are the perfect jobs for them. The service industry where they're working at the Mickey D's or Taco Bell down the street or your fast food restaurant. Or they're working for, the construction company down the road helping build all the infrastructure and all that. Or even manufacturing, working in these warehouses. Building up the manufacturing issue. Those are great jobs that don't require a high skill level, that you can start off real low, that pay decent. And the reason why immigrants, especially illegal immigrants, flock to those jobs is because they actually are decent paying jobs, to go on with the fact that they're undocumented workers, meaning they don't have the 1040 form, so they're not going to be taxed. They get their money under the table in straight cash usually. And they'll send a lot of that money out of the country, so it won't even help us. So, I mean, why should we continue to support people who do stuff like that? Now, I'm not saying all immigrants obviously do that, but all you leftists are already pissed off and you're thinking I'm blaming all leftists, or blaming all immigrants for this stuff, and, well, you're an idiot. Let's see. So, yeah, that was 33% of all high school dropouts that are jobless and are looking for work cannot get a job because an illegal immigrant is holding a job usually in the manufacturing, service, or construction industry. And that was from the Center for Immigration Services. Look it up. That's a ridiculous statistic that shouldn't be around. Let's see. 57% of all immigrants who come into this country, so that includes the legal immigrants and it includes the illegal immigrants, 57% are on at least one form of welfare. At least one. The majority of them are on multiple. Low-skill immigrant households cost the taxpayer on average $20,000 a year. That comes from the Heritage Foundation. And even the GAO showed an interesting statistic that 25% of our prison population are illegal immigrants. And of those illegal immigrants that are in our prison, they average 7 arrests per criminal alien. So Trump once again was right. They're not sending us their best and their brightest. And like I've said a dozen times before, a lot of these people, not all leftists, a a lot of these people are escaping persecution from their own damn country, and they know that they'll be able to get into ours, and it's easy to hide in a country as big as ours. And also when you got the leftists who are kowtowed to everything. I mean, they went into an uproar, obviously, the last couple days because of that Time magazine cover where they're making it look like that little baby was ripped away from her mother. That never happened. Alright? Well, what about all the American citizens that are ripped away from their parents because an illegal immigrant killed them? Namely, Kate Stanley. Remember her? And how many other American citizens need to die at the hands of illegal immigrants before we go, we need to get a damn hold on this? And now, granted, I've heard people on both sides of this, and I can understand of it, but I think a wall, while it isn't the solution, it is a solution, because it'll stop a handful of people who are just trying to cross by walking across our border. Obviously, with the wall and some of the prototypes, it looks like it is going to be incredibly hard to try to scale those things. And walls aren't what I would say racist, like the left tried to say, if you want a wall, because then that would mean the Vatican must be racist because they got a wall, or China must be racist. There was it Pakistan must be racist. Was it India must be racist? Spain must be racist. The southern tip of Mexico must be racist. A couple countries. I think there was what was the? Do I still have it up? I think there were 63 sovereign nations that currently, 65 countries have erected security walls on their border, and that was a Daily Mail. All right. Now, granted, once you read that article, because it's being the Daily Mail, it talks about, oh, how sad it is. It's such a terrible thing. These people built walls, and yeah. Now, I'm not one who's just going to complain and all that stuff and be like, oh, see, here's the issue, like a leftist and all that stuff, and then never offer a solution. I do think that there are a couple things that could be done that would greatly help our immigration system. And the ones that stick out to me mostly, and let's see, sanctuary cities. I think, I wanted to do this first before I talk about the solutions. There was this website I found, Federation for American Immigration Reform, and it breaks down the cost-benefit analysis of illegal immigrants. And the title of it, if you want to look it up, is written September 27, 2017, The Fiscal Burden of Illegal Immigration on the United States Taxpayers. Now, it's a long article, so I won't cover a lot of the stuff, but they did have one graphic in here that I wanted to show that I thought was a decent breakdown that dispels a lot of these Alinskyite myth that the immigrants, even with the illegals, are a net positive to our society economically. And let's see. So, total government expenditures on all illegal aliens: federal $45.8 billion, state and local $88.9 billion. Total national cost comes out to $134.8 billion. Alright, so that's how much they cost us, or how much we spend on them. Now, how much do they give to us? Federal taxes that they paid, $15.4 billion, state and local, $3.5 billion. Total taxes paid, $18.9 billion. So, that's no small number. That means that there actually are some good people in there, and that they're paying taxes. They're doing what they should be doing, although, you could have done it the right way. And now, total economic impact of illegal immigration. You take the two numbers, you subtract them from each other. What do you get? $116 billion that we annually will spend on illegal immigration. Where's the net positive, leftists? Now, if you don't believe these numbers, come to the website, Federation for American Immigration Reform. That article, look it up yourself. It's got the full PDF report right there that you could check out, and it's a decent little breakdown. I highly recommend checking it out. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to just talk about. These are big time issues. That is an unsustainable growth that we got, where it's costing us $116 billion every year. And I even saw one number was up to $300 billion. All right. And I'm going with this one right here because this is the one where I got the facts right in front of me, to where I kind of looked at it and it looks legit, especially because it matches up with a lot of the information that's at numbersusa.org, which is not a right or left-leaning organization. They're just, facts. And like I said, they pull information from Center of Immigration Studies, DHS, Pew, GAO, there's legit sources. But, so what can we do? What are some steps that could be taken? I've got a couple right here, and there's one that I used to be completely for until I heard David Knight's take on it. And he is Mr. Libertarian, in my opinion. I love listening to him while I'm at work. And when he brought this up on this subject, it was like I walked into a brick wall. I was like, damn, I never thought of it that way. And I mean, it was at that moment he changed my mind. And I guess I'll start with that one. E-Verify. One thing that a lot of people are calling for is the support of E-Verify. Now, like I just said, I used to be 100% for this. Makes complete sense. If you're going to get a job, you sign up on it. You got to go through an E-Verify account and all that stuff, and it registers within the government and all that to make sure you're a legal citizen and you can work here. So on the surface, hey, that'll help stop the illegal immigrants getting jobs. Granted, yeah. But then David Knight took the libertarian view of it and completely changed my mind. And it was, let's see if I can sum this up quickly. Effectively, that is not the type of power you want to give to a federal government. The power to say that you can have a job or not. Because think about the bureaucracy that we have. Do they do things right all the time? No. We are human. As the great philosopher said, to human is to err. E-R-R, error. And we humans mess up all the time. And one of the big mistake that almost happened within my life that I can back this claim up on is when I was a knucklehead, obviously, when I was younger. I spent a lot of time within our justice system, not inside of it, but having to deal with it, and went to jail a couple times. But one time when I was going to jail and I had a public defender, it was just because of like an FTA on a traffic ticket, and I was going in and I was going to have to serve like six days or something like that. It was something real light. But when we initially got down and started talking to her, apparently there was someone else with my exact same name. Now granted, he was 20 years older and he had drunk driving charges on him, and he was going to be locked up for 6+ years or something like that, if I remember right. And they were about to go through with that on me. Even though obviously that wasn't me. I almost went to jail for that long just because my name was the same as this other drunk moron in the same damn county. Which I thought my name was fairly unique. Apparently not. I'm not as unique as I thought. That makes me cry. My mom lied to me. She said I was special. Okay, so yeah, E-Verify. So it's proof that government, even not doing it maliciously or with any kind of intent, can easily screw that up. And think about even the no-fly laws that we have, the no-fly list that we have that's unconstitutional, should not be on the books. But how many times do we find that senators end up on that list, or that infants are on that list, babies are on that list, just because they have a name that is like someone else that they're watching? So that is not power you want to give to the government. And where I kind of expanded on it a little bit from, I don't think David Knight brought this part up, but it's the philosophy I've kind of developed is essentially, I don't want to give any government power that even if I felt like E-Verify went through under the perfect Trump administration with all people who are doing everything they can to make sure it went exactly right and all that stuff, that I would feel confident that it would be alright for those couple years. But then as soon as a new administration comes in, let's say it's an administration like a Bernie Sanders, God help us, or Kamala Harris. God, those are two that are kind of leading the Democratic Party, aren't they? But let's say like one of them gets into office. I don't trust their judgment, and I think that that things that were benign before can be used as insane tools against us. And that just because maybe, like, I'll make videos where I decrying illegal immigration, or or if I do anything against the status quo, they would be able to knock me. I don't want to give the government that power. So that is why I'm against E-Verify now, because I don't want to give the power to the government to decide if I can have a job or not. The only people I want deciding if I can have a job or not is me physically going into that location, having an interview, and they reject me because they think I won't be a good fit, I don't have the experience, or whatever. I will be fine with that rejection, but not a federal government rejection. I don't trust them. Another case in point, I've tried to get a passport a couple times, and because of bureaucracy madness, I've never gotten a passport. And I've tried to get it now 3 or 4 times. I can't remember. I think it's 3. I've tried to get it. I've applied for a passport 3 times, and each time they come back saying, "Oh, well, you didn't sign this form. It wasn't this or wasn't that." It's fucking bullshit. So another couple things in sanctuary cities. Period. There should be no sanctuary for people who violate the law. You violate the law, you serve the time. Happened to me when I was younger. I didn't want to do it. I was forced to do it. I would say on the one hand, it probably made me better for it, because it made me realize that there will be consequences to my actions. Even if, like a couple of times that I got in trouble, I won't get into the details, but I was doing something I thought was just at the moment, but I did violate the law. I got locked up a couple nights for that. So you violate the law, you got to serve your time, period. And that means you're going to be taken away from your family. I was taken away from mine when I fucked up and broke the law, so it goes to reason that they should too. In chain migration, I don't see any reason for chain migration. I think it should be, like Trump said, a merit-based system. If you are someone who can come into our economy and can make it better, or you're going to be some kind of benefit to our country, more power to you, come. But then if we say that you can come, I'm not going to let your sister come just because your sister and it'd be bad to break her up, or let your mother also come because it'd be sad to break you up. Or get that? Well, if they want to come also, they can do what you did. And they can fill out the paperwork. They can wait their time, and then they can come in and be U.S. citizens. But once again, the key part being is you got to assimilate. Alright? Because a lot of these people don't. I hate when I run into certain people. Now, granted, on the majority, most of the immigrants and even a handful of the illegal immigrants that I've met are decent, hard-working people. But then you will find the occasional one that hates this country, but is using and abusing what we have, what we set up, so he can get money and send it back home. And I despise those people. I think they need to leave. Love this country or leave it. Alright? There's plenty of other countries you can go to. There's plenty of other. Alright? You don't have to be in this country. Birthright citizenship. Now this is one that gets abused more than people think. And birthright citizenship, how it gets abused is, and the major abuser of this one is Chinese women, where they will come over to our country, whether it be on the tourist visa, student visa, business visa, something like that, on one of those, temporary visas. You can come over here for a short time and then leave. They will come over here while they're deep within their pregnancy, have their baby while they're here in America. The baby then, because of birthright citizenship, will become an American citizen. I don't agree with that immediately, unless you have at least one parent that is an American. Then I can agree with the citizenship, but this doesn't happen. I think the Center for Immigration Studies was 200,000 children are born every single year in America that are born to illegal aliens, or whether the mom came over on a temporary visa, snuck in, all that stuff, and that child then becomes an American citizen, which then manifests as the problem. What, you're going to rip it away from your mother now? You can't do that to the baby. Well, the mother shouldn't have put the baby in that situation. The fault, once again, lies on the parent. They've got working brains. They can figure that out. So I think birthright citizenship needs to be definitely overhauled and redone. Just because you're born on this land doesn't make you an American citizen. I think it's being born from American parents makes you the American citizen, in my opinion. Because that would be like, what if my parents had me while they were visiting China at the time, back in the 80s when I was born? Would that make me Chinese? Hell no. Hell no. That'd make me an American born in China. I wouldn't be too happy about it, but, you know, it'd be what it is. I'd be an American that was born in China. I would not identify with the Chinese culture unless, obviously, then I stayed there and grew up there for a handful of time, which obviously isn't the case for a lot of these kids. A border wall, I'm for that. I don't think, obviously, it's the solution. I'm handing out a handful here. I don't think it's the solution, but I do think it is a solution. It will stop a lot of crossings. Walls are effective. Ask China. I think they'll tell you that their wall did fairly good. Ask Israel. I think that they'll tell you that their wall did pretty good. Ask the Vatican. I think that their wall will tell you that it's done pretty good and doing exactly what it was supposed to do. Keeping people out. Alright? Israel used to have terrorist attacks all the time coming from Palestine and all that, which, in my opinion, isn't even a damn country, alright? It's mostly just like a collection of tribes. But it's a side issue. Fuck Hamas. Let me put it that way. Now, I've got my own issue with Israel and all that stuff. I'm not someone who's just, you know, anti-Palestine, pro-Israel and all that stuff. My view within that whole Middle East aspect, even just within those two countries right there, is different, I would say. And that'll be for another video. That it's an interesting one that I'm still even kind of trying to work out. And I like the aspect that Syrian girl, she's been on with Paul Joseph Watson a couple times. She's got an interesting perspective on that stuff too. That's definitely worth checking out because that's someone from the Middle East that has first-hand experience about what goes on over there. So I trust those people more than, you know, my disconnected view from being just here in America and a lot of my news obviously having to come through to where, granted, I'm good at weeding out good and bad news, but a lot of the media is obviously biased and doesn't give you the full picture, and they will try to twist words, use the Alinsky tactics.